Howdy, folks, and welcome to my retro game room. And today I wanted to focus on Super Nintendo boxes and their variations. I have quite a few of them. Some I might talk about that I don't have to show, but I will show what I can. So to start with, right here you got Killer Instinct, and you got Zelda Link to the Past. And so this now each are complete. We're going to look at the Zelda, but I wanted to show the Killer Instinct here because this is an example of a first run of a Super Nintendo game. What a standard Super Nintendo game looks like. It was a Nintendo exclusive, so it had only for Nintendo. Now it's got the killer cut. It's actually got the CD with it, and they got the red Super Nintendo Entertainment System lettering and the box art, and everything is straightforward and normal, like with the Super Nintendo box. Now, here's a slight variation here. So this Link to the Past, as you can see, directly comparing, the best on the bottom here it says the best of Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and this is no longer red; it's more of a gold. And you got Player's Choice, Million Seller, and this came out in like 90. According to the back, it came out in 96, whereas Link to the Past originally came out in 92. So this is a reissue of greatest hits, platinum hits, just like Xbox does, Sony, PlayStation does, and everybody else does. So this is 4 years after the game originally released, and they reissued it, right? Now to give you another difference that we'll have to see. There's several things. So no, there's another. This is when the ESRB, after the ESRB had been introduced. So you got the ESRB ratings on these because it's mid 90s. Early 90s, ESRB didn't exist yet. Mortal Kombat Night Stalkers brought that on. So now what I have right here, this is a reproduction plastic shell case that I get from GamingRelics.com. That's right, GamingRelics.com. And they're like about $6 to $7 a piece. Fantastic quality reproduction cases. The beautiful thing about these, because there are reproductions out there that are trying to imitate the real thing and to pass as the real thing, to fool you. But what this guy does is it looks great. It looks great on the shelf, and it's functional. And you can see here it holds the cartridge and everything. Now bear in mind, so the cartridge has that same background. And it's got the place for the booklet in here. I think I've got the map. I have more documents. Yeah, I have more documents behind there. So, real quick, a pro tip. There's also reproductions of cartridges all the time. So one pro tip for if you want to just eyeball a cart and know if it may or may not be authentic, other than just basic wear, but when it looks real nice and crispy, and it's so. You should have one clear sign is it should have a nice gloss, unless it's from Mexico. There's their versions of when they stop making them in Japan, they come out of Mexico. The booklets are black and white, and the cartridges, the stickers didn't have the labels on the front, weren't glossy anymore. They were more matted. But even with that, if you look at the Nintendo seal of quality, it should have kind of a nice 3D golden shimmer to it. So if it doesn't have that and it looks plain and yellowish and washed out and weird, it's a reproduction. That's the easiest way to tell off on the face of it. Now, otherwise, you have to take it apart to be completely sure. But like I said, bear in mind that this has the same background as the cover here, right? Just bear that in mind. So as you can see, clearly there's a big difference between this foreground and this one. So this is because they changed that, left the sword and everything, but they changed that. I like the original better, but they did it just to. This is what they used to do. They kind of do it now. They kind of do it to this day with greatest hits re-releases and stuff. But this is a clear example of how they did it quite a bit back in the day. So let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. Now, Super Nintendo boxes, and once again, these videogameboxprotectors.com, very useful to keep your boxes nice, because these are not easy to get a hold of nowadays. because unfortunately as a child I trashed and threw away all mine. So these are all as a collector, as an adult. When I was a kid, I didn't know better. I just kept the booklets and the cartridges. But so what's nice about Super Nintendo boxes is they're pretty decent quality cardboard. They open easily. If you take care of them, they will keep well. Now, what I'm not 100% about, so this booklet, very nice booklet. This has got the original background to it. I'm willing to bet they didn't bother to change the booklet. They just left it as it is. I'm willing to bet that. I could be wrong. This might have just got mixed in with it. Not a big deal. Something to just note if you ever notice a difference. Here's the map. And that I put in between here. There's a little tips guide that is sealed when you first get it. It's sealed, and I've actually opened it, and it's got little tips and tricks and stuff in it. So very cool. These are not, you do not see these all the time. And you got the map of Hyrule. Take a quick look at that. Oh yeah, very cool. I love maps in the game. I don't care what the game is. Put a map in it and I'm happy. And you got another one of these, the consumer information. Nintendo Power ad. Then you got the cartridge. Now, and this right here is a reproduction because a lot of these break up, get thrown away, and so on. So there's actually websites that make these from scratch, and then you fold them out, and so you're able to replace these. So, who cares? I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, who cares about authenticity of a piece of cardboard that fits it? It's just to hold the cartridge, right? So the cartridge itself, and once again, it's got that nice shimmer. It's maybe hard for the camera to see, but it's got that shimmer because this is like immaculate, never been played. Like new as a yeah, this has never been played. I can tell by the contact points. This has never been played. So you'd be like, oh, is this a reproduction because it's immaculate and brand new? Well, I can easily tell by the Nintendo seal of quality. It has a very nice, consistent shimmer to it. It's literally like, it's almost like it reflects in your eyes a certain way where I think that was intentional. And these kind of do it too because it's similar color. It's actually the same color. And if you don't have that and it looks washed out and weird, it's a repro. That's the easiest way to tell, like I said before. All right, so let's move on to the next game. All right, so another thing I wanted to point out with these different boxes, this is very interesting. I got a hold of these in bulk years ago. They're worth a lot more now than when I got them. So right here, as you can see. These are very hard to, as far as I know, they're very difficult to get now. See how it's the million seller, that same thing that we covered already? We'll see how, notice how it says for display only. And clearly, this has never been used. This is still folded. This is still folded out where it hasn't even been folded up and used for anything, right? So what happens with that? Well, what they used to do is they used to, they would get these in bulk at stores. They would fold it up and finish it, similar to this. Here's another for display only of Mario Kart. This is one that I actually bought it with the intent of, because at the time it was much cheaper, even though it's real and it's official, but it's for display only. And I took these, bought them in bulk for every title I could that I could find. And I take the actual title, put it in this, fold it up like it's meant to be, and then complete it that way, right? That was versus getting a Mario Kart box, which is not easy. So the only drawback, and I'll show this. The only drawback is that when you let's do this side. When you open it, it's funny, you get this little mark. You see that little purple right there? That literally shows you where you want to open it. Opening these, see how it's bending like that, right? See, remember how when I opened that Zelda box, it just came right open smoothly? This cardboard is not the same as a normal case's cardboard. It's thinner and flimsier, and also notice, real fast, notice how white it is. And once again, like I said, with opening and closing this, see this? Just comes right open, sturdy, flat, no problem. But notice how gray it is. Notice how dark it is compared to this. See how that's very white. It's thinner, flimsier by at least a millimeter or two. Maybe by, well, I don't know. I don't know what to say millimeter, but it's enough to notice. So clearly the quality is not the same because the purpose is not the same. You can use it this way, like I have, which is fine, because I honestly don't even use the cart to play Mario Kart, so I only have this as a premium collector's item. Not a huge deal. You just got to be careful with it. So these are very interesting. Since I was able to buy multiple of them, like I've got a copy of F-Zero Complete M1 folded, but this one I just kept it as it is. I literally I've considered this a collectible on its own. But it is official, and I just thought really fascinating the story behind these. They were meant for stores, and now they become a collectible, and you can actually use them. So I definitely keep these around. All right, well, let's move on to the next game. All right, so right here we have Area 88. Now, obviously, you can tell this is quite a bit different. So this is a Super Famicom Japanese import. Now, for those that don't know, Famicom, the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, is a North American name and European name. U.S., Canada, so on, and UK, blah blah blah. Japan, it's Famicom and then Super Famicom, completely different. Like systems look completely different, the names are different. It's completely different in Japan. So with this is the one and only Super Famicom game I have, especially it's complete in its box. So I figured it'd be an interesting contrast to see what this looks like compared to what we just got through looking at. So cardboard, even though it's a bit of a brown, but it's very similar cardboard. This is clearly vertical versus horizontal, like the other. Which, by the way, I'm going to show this as an example. This is actually my one and only factory seal, 100%. I mean, I know this for a fact. It's not a fake factory seal. Quick, story time. I got this from a guy in a game store that's now no longer around. He had a Super Nintendo shipment box, an actual Nintendo shipment case full of these that never seen the light of day that they got a hold of. They cracked it open, broke these out, and started selling them individually at the store and online. And I was there right after they broken it open. I was talking to him. He said, "Hey, I'll sell you one for $50 right now." This is years ago. And I was like, "Well, heck yeah." So I gave him $50 cash and bought this on the spot. Literally straight from the original shipment box, never in circulation, to me. So this is very special to me. Very special. It's even got the store tag on it, as the store hanging tab on it and everything. So this is very special to me. It's not worth a whole lot. It's not a rare game at the game itself, but having any Super Nintendo game sealed like this is really, really cool for me. So anyway, that was story time. All right. So, like I said, vertical versus horizontal, which is interesting. Check out the back here as well. Very good game, actually. It's a good shooter. Sides. Like how they have little screenshots of the game. Cool. All right, so this got a plastic in it, which I actually like this better than the cardboard inserts. This plastic insert, I think that's superior. And the booklet is obviously more narrow, and maybe not taller, but more narrow. Nice and colorful. So these are just as good as quality as you would expect from Nintendo. This is actually quite a bit like a Switch booklet, believe it or not. That's funny. It's just a little bigger than a Switch booklet. And then you got the cartridge. So yeah, I really like this. I like this. I wish they would have been plastic for the Super Nintendo and Nintendo. But so, and this is a very nice copy. I played this because I'm able to play it in my Retron 5. Because it uses emulation when you insert the card in, and it downloads the software, or it installs it, and then it uses emulation that's in the data bank of the console. So the Retron 5 is great, and I use my Retron 5 to just play this. So yeah, this is a fun game, very cool. All right, we got one more game left I want to take a look at. All right, so this is the last game I want to take a look at, and the reason I'm looking at it, because as you can see, and this is a plastic shell, right? RoboCop versus Terminator. I thought this was like the coolest thing ever as a kid. I wasn't able to play it as a kid, but I saw it on the store shelves. And I thought I knew what RoboCop and Terminator were because I had the toys, but I was too young to watch the movies, but I had the action figures. So I already was in love with the franchises. I just couldn't watch the movies. But so I saw the game. I was like, oh, RoboCop and Terminator, so really cool. Well, it's funny. You still got that actual physical, Nintendo Silver quality. But so this is a very, very unique case that is exclusively to this game. Even the Sega Genesis version, which, by the way, the Genesis version gameplay wise is actually the superior port. Doesn't happen all the time, but in that case it is. This game is very tough, but this actually is a outer plastic shell. Awesome artwork. I love the look of this thing. It's so cool. And then on the back here you see the cardboard box art, because this lifts off. There's the game. These are hard to get, by the way, so I got this for $30 off eBay in a bid. I did a snipe on a bid. Like, I got lucky. You have no idea. So this is completely different from a normal Super Nintendo game. So that's why I'm fascinated. And that's another thing. I actually need to put one on my Zelda over here. But these, I have a lot of these dust protectors on Super Nintendo cartridges. Very nice. So this is a very nice copy of this as well. Now the booklet, I went ahead and opted to, because I put it in, I put it in one of these. I opted to keep, I put it in here, you can, but I opted to keep it in this plastic bag and keep it on the outside when I put the whole thing in. It just kind of fits better that way. But otherwise I don't have every single little goodie with it. But yeah, I just wanted to show this one lastly, just because it's unique. It's the only one like it, and I'm so happy that I have it. And I was able to show it to you all. So I appreciate you watching. If you like this video, give me a like. If you want to see more, subscribe and comment if you want. If you want to give me any requests, and of course anytime I try to catch any mistakes, I just kind of ramble on. So any mistakes I say, I try to like clarify in the comments, or because I don't want to make stuff up. I just ramble, and I have a lot comes out of my brain, and sometimes it's not 100% exact. And if I catch it, I try to correct myself when I can. So, all right, you'll have a wonderful day.